You've heard us talk about Tyranids. We're going to talk about...
Space Marines.
Yeah.
How much does a 2,000 point Space Marine army cost now?
I expect it costs a pretty penny, but
Yeah.
maybe we should see exactly how much, because that's exactly what we're going to do. We did it with Tyranids, we're now going to do it with the Space Marines. We've seen all of the brand new Tyranid models, we've seen all the brand new Space Marine models. How much do they cost, and do they fit in a nice, well-rounded Space Marines army?
Just to preset, this is a fluff rule of cool army, not this is a 2,000 point competitive list. This is a 2,000 point army that you would...
Yeah.
Because I did the list.
You did the
I
list.
did this one. It's got a bit of everything. It's got a bit of flavour. This isn't consigned to one thing.
Yeah.
So you might be like, well, why have you not included this character? It's like, because this is leaning more down a generic custom route.
You won't find Rowboat Girly Man, you won't find the Lion, there isn't any Black Templar Crusader squads. This is just Space Marines.
They'll be in their own one.
Oh,
Further down the line.
absolutely right. Apologies in advance because I am wearing my baby poo jumper and Kieran has already made the comment. So you can also make the comments too down below. Where would you like to start? You made a list.
I did make a list. So first up, we're starting with the new starter set, which is the one that comes with the Tyranids. So from a cost perspective, you can get these a bit cheaper if you're to not buy this stupid combat patrol.
Yeah,
don't buy that.
No.
It's a bad move.
For the lovely people at home, what do you get in the starter set?
For the Space Marines in the new starter set, you get a Captain in Terminator armor. Mm-hmm. You get 5 Terminators, and you get 5 Infernus Marines.
Infernus.
So
Blazing Inferno.
The Captain in Terminator armor is clocking in at 95 hull points.
95.
The Terminators are clocking in at 185, which could go up, could go down, depending on how things go, I guess.
Yeah.
And Infernus Marines, 5 of them just clock in at 85. They're just kind of like a token one, really, just because they come in the set. The main reason I did that one was because it's a Terminator kit and some other stuff.
So how much does half of the starter box cost?
So the whole thing is £65, which is still cheaper than buying the combat patrol. But if you've got a friend that's wanting a Tyranid army, it will cost you £32.50 in the UK.
So what you're saying is, Kieran, you get a Terminator Captain, 5 Terminators, 5 Infernus Marines, all for cheaper than a box of Terminators.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, or just sell the Tyranids on eBay. Next up is a tried and true. I don't think you can have a Space Marine army without these. It's the Humble Intercessors.
The Humble Intercessors.
So,
Space Marines with guns.
Yeah, just the normal 10-man kit. It clocks in at 170 points.
That's not bad. For 10 Marines, it's fine. How much are they for a 10-man team?
They are in the Great British Pound, £37.50.
Yeah, to be fair, Intercessors are sort of like a bread and butter for most Space Marines army.
You can't have an army without any in, really.
Yeah, I mean, whether you pick the Assault variant or the regular Bolter variant, which we'll pick on in a second. But yeah, no, they seem to be the bread and butter. And I think ultimately you need troop choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great to paint as well. Right, next up we've got probably the most expensive brick in the whole army. It is a 10-man unit of Hellblasters.
Good. Hellblasters, cool. Okay.
So they're at the moment, as of MUNITORUM Field Manual 1.4.
Oh, I see. Q2 2023.
Q3
2023. Good grief.
1.4.
Yeah, this is so confusing. It's too many numbers.
I think they're quite tasty now. I think you can hook up some HQ units into them, and they get quite tasty.
Raining plasma death.
I mean, I think there was a lot worse when OT Moment was wounds and hits. I think they were quite.
That's a bit busted. Maybe yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. I think they really fit the Space Marine theme. They feel like heavy weapon squad Space Marines.
It's just 250 points.
It's a big sink, but if you consider how many points... I always try and find with Warhammer, like, you have to try and justify... If something in your army costs a certain amount, it has to take away a certain amount from the other person's army. And I feel like how potent they are They probably could do.
I think at the moment, obviously, if you're watching this in a year or whenever, maybe not so much if things change. But at the moment, they're quite tasty.
But yeah, it's cool. What's next?
It's a chonky boy.
It's a chunky boy.
It is the Brutalis.
He is very, very cool.
The Brutalis Dreadnought. I mean, I think this is probably... I don't know whether it's competitive in it, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I think Dreadnoughts are the coolest thing about Space Marines.
Yeah,
like, hands down.
100%.
Doesn't matter whether it's a Redemptor, Brutalis, even the Ballistas. I think they're all cool. They all have their time. But yeah, Brutalis, when it first came out, I was like, oh, it's got fingernails. But, oh, that's weird. But yeah, no, I like it. I do really like it a lot. How many points does that clock in at?
It's 140 points.
Okay.
And it's £47.50.
Good grief.
So it's not a great
No, not phenomenal, but...
But rule of cool?
Rule of cool. Rule of cool is right.
Paint those fingernails.
Paint the fingernails.
Next up is two whole Bladeguard veteran kits.
Rule of cool indeed.
Bladeguard Veterans they don't need any introduction. They are just, I think, still my favourite generic Space Marine kit.
Yeah, they are S-tier Space Marine models. They're sick.
I've got two of them in, so if you were running this, you could run them as 2 units of 3, or you can group them together.
For a big blob of 6.
For a big chunky blob.
And if you're cool, you go with 6.
Yeah.
There's something really special about Bladeguard kits, and I feel
it's
like
the giant shield. It's the same size as them.
Yeah, shields, swords. It's just lush, isn't it? And I feel like it doesn't matter what colour you paint them. They just look like they belong.
Yeah.
What's next?
Right, next up is the first Tonky Boy. We've got a Repulsor.
A Repulsor.
I was in two minds with this one, to go with the normal Repulsor or the Executioner. There's a bit of a point swing and also a price swing. So the normal Repulsor's clocking in at a whole 190 points.
190 points, which isn't bad. How much does it cost?
£55.
Okay, it's a bit pricey.
It's a cool tank. I mean, depending on how the maths works, there's an argument here you could swap that out for the Executioner if you wanted a more stationary army. But the problem with the Executioner is you can only fit 5 normal things in it, or 3 big things.
Okay, so with a Repulsor normally is that 10 and 6?
It's the 11, so you can fit the captain in.
Oh, 11 and 6.
11 or 12, I can't remember. Next up, we've got one of the newer kits.
Okay.
Which is the Company Heroes.
Very cool.
Very cool little kit. I mean, jury's out on what they actually kind of do in the game at the minute.
Yeah, we got the, might as well show them here. The big deck of cards, because cool. Yeah, we were looking over their sheet a second ago and don't really know what they do. Don't really get
Rule of cool.
But rule of cool.
They are fantastic kit.
Mm.
Can't go wrong, I think, with just normal cool Space Marine. You can give them some flavours.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, like, it's almost, it's the OG Command Squad, isn't it? And I think it really fits the bill. In this list, just as a quick recap, how many characters have we got?
I've still got some more to come.
Oh, excellent stuff. Cool.
So we'll do a final count of that at the end. The Company Heroes is clocking at 95 points.
Okay.
Which isn't bad.
And money-wise?
Money-wise, £40.
Okay, not great. So it's still like 2 points a pound, which isn't a phenomenal ratio. However...
Rule of cool.
Rule of cool. Yeah, it's awesome.
Next up, we've got another Stompy Boy.
Stompy Boy.
The humble Redemptor Dreadnought.
The OG. Big fan. Big fan.
Can't not put this in.
I've painted 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts and I love them. Absolutely love them.
I'm not a massive fan. I prefer the Brutalis more.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I prefer the Redemptor. I think it's because...
I've got like 2 of them in the garage.
What, Redemptors?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I think Redemptors are lush. I think they're just like, they're really big and chunky, and I think, weren't they the first Dreadnoughts that sort of got like Primal?
Yeah, we lost the Stumpy Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Which, now hilariously, the scale of that is just...
Yeah, it's pitiful. It's like, it's only marginally bigger than a Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny. But yeah, Redemptors are cool.
The Redemptor and the Brutalis are definitely the better of the 3 Dreadnoughts. The Ballistas one.
I wonder what you were doing then. I was like,
it's a bit...
Are you okay?
I mean, to be fair, you can't even buy that properly.
Ballista. Oh, no, you can't. No, it's locked to...
Still locked to Leviathan. Whether that changes in a couple of months, let us know in the comments.
Funny.
We now move on to the Speedy Bit. I was in 2 minds whether to include this, but rule of cool and also trying to get some flavour into the army if you wanted it. We've got a Chaplain on bike, which is a really cool kit.
I am going to roll with the assumption that he has a squad to go
There is an Outrider kit next. So we'll group these ones together.
Yeah,
There's Chaplain on bike and 3 Outriders.
That would have been my rebuttal. Like, so long as the Chaplain has something to go with.
It's just on his own.
Yeah, he's just running around like, for the Khan! Yeah, it makes loads more sense.
So Chaplain on bike clocks in at 75 points, and 3 Outriders clocks in at 95.
Okay.
The Chaplain on bike is a Spenny kit at £32.50 for one guy on a bike.
It is pricey, but it's absolutely one of the best looking Space Marine kits, especially the characters. Like, it's if you're, I mean, ultimately for this list, you're looking at like a nice, well-rounded 2K points list, full of really, really cool models, and he is definitely going to be one of the best, especially when he's leading an Outrider unit, because wicked.
Outriders, if you buy the kit, it's £37.50. However, at the time of recording this, you could probably pick Outriders up on eBay for about £18.
Yeah, Outriders were in nearly all of the 9th edition starter sets. They were also in Indomitus. They were also in the Imperium magazine, so they are around.
Do some shopping on it. Definitely do it on the Outriders.
Outriders, I think you could probably pick up 3 for about 20 quid.
About £18-19.
Yeah, so really slice that money down.
But
wicked kit.
We can't guarantee that, which is why we've gone with the full price kit.
No.
Next up is something that I think every Space Marine army needs, and that's a Primaris Lieutenant.
Insert meme here.
Yeah,
sure, okay.
But
reasons why.
Go with me on this. The new kit, the new multi-part one, is fantastic.
Okay.
So much different stuff in there.
Sure.
There's got the Power Fist guy. There's sword. It came in the Augustus, whatever that box is.
Augustus.
It came in that box. I've got one for my Dark Angels. It's fantastic.
I suppose in this army as well, you've got enough chaff units that you can partner him with as well. Yeah, no, sweet. Yeah. I think, again, it's one of those bread and butter units, especially when it comes to HQs. If you consider we've got Termi HQ, we've got the Company Heroes, we've got the Lieutenant and the Chaplain on bike so far. I think it's a pretty nice mix of heroes as well.
I think you could potentially, I don't know, we'll get into that at the end, with what you could potentially swap out if you wanted to go a different way. Then, last on the list, this one's kind of an option, it's an either or. Okay. So, depending on what you want to go with, you can either go with 10 Assault Intercessors or a Gladiator.
Gladiator, because cooler.
So, if you're looking at that list and
what's a nice breakdown? So you go points for both and then prices for both as well.
So they're both the same point cost.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Well, depending on which variant of the Gladiator you build, there's 10 points in it. I've gone with the more expensive one.
Sure.
Assault Intercessors at the time and also the more expensive Gladiator are both 160 points.
Oh, cool.
So it's a swap. However, the price isn't the swap.
Yeah. Bit of a tough one.
The Assault Intercessors are £37.50 and the Gladiator is £55. So if you do go, I want another Tonk, there is an extra cost.
Also, the Assault Intercessors absolutely sit in the same field as Outriders and eBay. You can get them for far cheaper because of all the reasons we listed before.
Yeah, they were in Indomitus and the magazine.
You can pick up 5 for very, very cheap. But
well, there's 10 in here.
Yeah, there is, but I don't know. The sucker in me says tank because then you've got 2 dreads and 2 tanks.
It
fits the Space Marine.
It depends. I mean, I know combat isn't as up as it was for 9th as it is. No, it was more up in 9th than it is for 10th.
I just think it feels if I was starting a Space Marine army, I'd want like a statement piece. And it feels like that, you know? So like the Dreadnoughts are obviously great, but because you've got 2, they're sort of like holding hands, running into the mist together, like, haha, for the Emperor. But whereas the tank, the Repulsor is sort of like I'm going to carry the units. It's like the grav boat just like floating in, unload all the guys, and then we're good. Whereas the Gladiator is just like, here's loads of Dakar, and I'm going to shoot you.
For the purposes of the final total, for the cost, I have gone with the Assault Intercessors because it's the cheaper kit.
Makes sense.
Then the last 2 things on here, again, can be semi-optional, which is the Codex and the data cards.
Oh, you put those on as well. Yep. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
So the Codex is clocking in at 35 quid. I really like a Codex still. I still like to have a physical book, so it's an auto-include for me.
Well, as we found with this one, sorry, grab your phone. Yeah, it's a very beautiful book. It's very, very big too. So
if you want some nighttime reading,
yeah, the thing is with Space Marines is that it comes with all the Space Marine bits in here. So yeah, great time. Unless it's super niche like Black Templar stuff or Blood Angels or anything.
And
like
the deck cards are £25.
Ugh.
There's I really like the data cards only because they've got gold filigree around the side.
Yeah,
they're very bougie.
It's an interesting one because I feel like data cards make playing far easier, whereas
you can, however, just photocopy the cards in the book.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's funny.
Do some printing at work.
They're all in here, so you've got nothing like that to worry about.
Technically, don't need to buy the data cards.
No,
they're just nice.
My suggestion is if you're buying your first 2K army or you're buying an army or whatever, and you're just starting out, just buy the book first, and then get the cards. If you're like, I hate scrolling through pages because it's super annoying, then get the cards.
Don't be a mad person and buy all of this in one go. So, off the back of that, that's clocking in at 1,985 points.
Thank God you said points. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
So that's with the Assault Intercessors. That's
the tank optional.
The tank optional is the same points depending on what Gladiator variant you build.
Mm-hmm.
And the UK cost is £555. Just to complete the totals, just because it's worth talking about. US dollars 915, euros 730, and you poor Australians 1,474 Australian dollars.
Good.
And just for because I couldn't believe that number, I did a conversion. From UK to Australian dollars, it's nowhere near. Really? There's like an extra $350 on there for
Australian tax
reasons. Get, there's extra logistics shipping it down there. Maybe that accounts for a little bit, but not $300.
Yeah, if you're from Australia or you're currently in Australia and you're a Warhammer fan, write us a little comment. Tell us how you feel because we'd love to talk about it. Because goodness me.
Yeah, it's spenny.
Yeah, it's a bad time.
We didn't do this with the Tyranids one, but there's a couple of options you could have in that Space Marine one. So if you didn't want to go with 2 units of Bladeguard, you could swap 1 unit out for some Eradicators.
That's true.
In a world of T12.
Yeah, a little bit of melting goes a long way.
Probably a bit more competitive.
Just
Eradicators are 5 points more though.
So that's fine because it clocks in at 1985.
Yeah, so you clock in at 1990.
Fine.
With that. Another one you could potentially swap if you wanted to go a bit more nostalgic, you could swap out that Repulsor for a Land Raider.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old kit. It's pricey.
Yeah,
like I said, you could go with the Land Raider over the Executioner or the normal Repulsor, but there are big swings depending on which Land Raider build you go with, which is why I didn't go down the Land Raider route. Because, for example, if you go with the Redeemer compared to the normal one, there's a big swing, or the Crusader, which is the cheapest one. The Redeemer is 260.
Yeah, Redeemer is like hench as well.
It's just 2 big flamethrowers on wheels.
Just like as soon as you hear the tank, it's like die. Yeah, nice, really cool.
The only other options you could potentially have is you could swap out the Lieutenant maybe for a Gravis Captain if you wanted to. But again, it's
interesting as well, isn't it? Because obviously this is like Space Marine flavour, so it's just like you can't really go, deep into things like. I suppose we could have a bit of a play with Salamanders or.
You could have a play with stuff that
doesn't. White Scars and stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't have its own. Like for example, Ultramarines. That list would look nothing like what I've just done there because you'd have Rowboat, Girly Man, you'd have
Calgar maybe.
Calgar, probably not Tiggy. You probably wouldn't go 3 characters in the first.
Live longer with Calgar. Nailed it.
Okay.
No regrets.
I think you.
Yeah. Same with White Scars. Obviously, double down on the bikes, ATVs. Chaplain on bike is an absolute given. Then Salamanders as well. You'd want aggressors for flame. You'd want more Inferno Marines, I imagine.
Which would be very expensive. That's when it gets a bit pricey because you only get 5, and they're not actually out yet.
Well, you're going to get 5... Oh, in the starter box.
Yeah, so you'd have to
buy
a lot of starter boxes to get.
Yeah, that's true. But then again...
eBay.
eBay's your best friend. eBay's your best mate. Yep.
We'll do an Ultramarines video, and we'll do more videos for the ones that actually have books. So there'll be a Blood Angels one coming, there'll be a Dark Angels one coming.
Yeah, a little bit way down the line. I think Ultramarines is probably the next port of call, because that feels like the next big one, still tying it in with Space Marines.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice like two-parter, I suppose, as well. But yeah, where do you think that compares in regards to Tyranids? Do you think that that's...
I think I like the Space Marine army more.
Yeah.
I think it's got far more flavour, but then Space Marine's got more kits.
Yeah, so it's funny.
This is really hard to do, actually.
It is difficult. I also really disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah, the two armies, I think...
That's because you did that one.
Well.
And
yes,
I did this one.
Yeah, I think I'd rather play Tyranids than play Space Marines. I think it's interesting.
That White Skies army you've got is looking pretty sad now.
But yeah, no. If you really enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. Also comment: would you change anything of the list itself? What would you have in your Space Marine army? Have you got a Space Marine army? Let us know down below.
Who hasn't got a Space Marine army these days?
Are you a person? But yeah, no. Keep us entertained.
And check out our affiliate link if you want to go and buy some Space Marine kits.
Absolutely right. Want a £35 book that isn't £35 at Hobby Workshop? Go and get it.
Oh, as we completely forgot, this is all off Games Workshop RRP.
Yes, so you can get it at nearly or up to 20% discount.
Between 15 to 20. So we've done this number as it's the absolute worst case. If you were to go, I'm just going to go buy it all from the Games Workshop website.
And how much did you say this clocked in at?
£555 from Games Workshop.
Imagine how much money you could save.
So like I said, you could save money with eBay.
Love that.
Yeah. Leave us likes, comments.
See you next time.